US-Israel war with Iran Day 39. 1. A ceasefire exists. But Iran kept firing after it was announced. The US and Iran agreed to a 2-week ceasefire on April 7th, named the Islamabad Accords. The US military ordered all offensive operations to cease immediately. Iran's Supreme National Security Council accepted, and then Kuwait reported 28 Iranian drones targeting vital oil installations and power stations after the ceasefire was declared. The UAE reported ongoing missile and drone attacks. Israel and UAE both sounded missile alerts on the morning of Day 39. Explosions occurred at Iran's Lavan Island refinery and Siri Island oil sites, with Iran itself saying the source of the blasts was unknown. A ceasefire was signed. The fighting did not fully stop. 2. Iran and Trump are describing completely different deals. Trump. Total and complete victory. 100%. No question about it. Iran's Supreme National Security Council. Nearly all the objectives of the war have been achieved. Good news to the dear nation of Iran. Iran says the US accepted its 10-point proposal, which includes lifting all sanctions, US military withdrawal from the Middle East, reparations for war damages, and Iran's right to continue nuclear enrichment. Trump has not confirmed any of these conditions, or both sides are telling their own populations they won. They cannot both be right. What actually happened will only become clear in Islamabad on Friday. 3. Israel said the ceasefire does not include Lebanon. Pakistan said it does. Pakistan's PM Sharif, who brokered the deal, announced the ceasefire includes Lebanon and elsewhere. Effective immediately. Netanyahu's office said the opposite. The ceasefire does not include Lebanon. Israel's military confirmed it has ceased fire against Iran specifically, while simultaneously continuing airstrikes and ground operations against Hezbollah in Lebanon. 2 mediators. 1 deal. Contradictory terms. The Lebanon question is now the most dangerous unresolved thread in this ceasefire. 4. Oil dropped 9% in 30 minutes. Gas prices are still expected to hit $4.30. The moment the ceasefire was announced, WTI crude fell from above $114 to around $96 a barrel. Markets surged globally, but the US Energy Information Administration issued a sobering assessment. Gas prices are expected to peak at $4.30 a gallon this month, and Middle East oil production shut-ins of 9.1 million barrels per day will not return close to pre-war levels until late 2026. Even if the Strait reopens tomorrow, the economic damage of 39 days does not reverse in 39 hours. 5. Iran's 10-point proposal and what it actually demands. Iran's peace proposal, which Trump called a workable basis, includes a full lifting of all US and UN sanctions, a release of all Iranian assets held overseas, a complete US military withdrawal from the Middle East, a financial compensation for war damages, end to all attacks on Iran and its allies including Hezbollah, and Iran's right to nuclear enrichment. These are not minor negotiating positions. These are maximalist demands. The gap between what Iran is asking and what the US has publicly committed to is enormous. 6. Iran continued executing political prisoners during the war and accelerated it. This detail is being buried under ceasefire headlines. Iran's judiciary chief called on April 7th for accelerating and increasing death sentences against what he called enemy elements. 6 members of an opposition organization were executed between March 30th and April 4th alone. The regime used the cover of war to intensify domestic repression, executing dissidents while the world's attention was on Hormuz and missiles. 7. An American journalist held hostage in Iraq was freed. U.S. journalist Shelley Kitlerson, who had been abducted by a militant group in Iraq, was freed on April 7th, confirmed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The timing on the day of the ceasefire announcement was not coincidental. It was part of the broader diplomatic movement surrounding the deal. 8. Trump says Iran's uranium will be perfectly taken care of. Iran says it keeps enrichment rights. When asked what would happen to Iran's 450 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium, enough for 9 to 11 nuclear weapons, Trump told AFP, "That will be perfectly taken care of, or I wouldn't have settled." Iran's position in its own 10-point proposal explicitly includes the right to nuclear enrichment. These 2 statements are directly contradictory. The nuclear question, which was the entire stated reason this war started, remains completely unresolved in the ceasefire text. 9. The death toll after 39 days. Confirmed by multiple sources, and more than 3,400 people have been killed across the Middle East. Over 1,600 civilians, and more than 1,500 killed in Lebanon, and 23 in Israel, and 13 US service members killed in combat, 2 more from non-combat causes. the number of wounded across all countries runs into the tens of thousands. Iran has not released its own official updated count. 10. Talks begin Friday in Islamabad. The next 14 days will decide everything. Pakistan's PM invited delegations from both the US and Iran to Islamabad on Friday, April 10th, to further negotiate for a conclusive agreement to settle all disputes. Whether Israel participates given its refusal to include Lebanon remains unclear. Whether Iran's IRGC, which operated independently throughout this war, will respect whatever its political leadership agrees to is also unclear. This is day 39.